Hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. So the events of the COVID-19 virus have literally shaken our entire education world and have pushed us into a mode of teaching that we were never truly prepared for on this large of a scale. However, just because something out of our control happened does not mean we need to let it define us or our capabilities or the trajectory of our students' future. This is why I'm going to be detailing and demonstrating to you some amazing educational tech that I truly believe will help you and your students through this phase of teaching and in the future so that your students don't miss out on the education that they deserve. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm excited that you made it. If you didn't already know, my name is Deborah and my channel is dedicated to helping teachers like yourself learn transformative ways on how to boost their careers. So if you fall under this category or you just genuinely enjoy content like this, then you are definitely in the right place. Today I'm going to be detailing and showing you a tutorial on how to set up Google Classroom and use all the available tools to provide amazing learning opportunities and experiences for your students. However, before we begin, I think it's super important that I not just tell you how to set up a Google Classroom, but actually show you. So I'm going to be displaying my screen to you as I follow the steps on setting up a Google Classroom and use actual lessons as examples so that you can envision how you can set up your own classroom. I've also pasted a link down in my description box because I would love it if you would join me in this process. So you can just click the link and it'll open a separate window and you can set up your Google Classroom alongside with me so that it'll be easier to learn the steps and the process of setting up a Google Classroom. So without further ado, let's get right to it. Hey guys, so we're gonna go ahead and start our full tutorial on using the Google Classroom platform. But before we begin, I just wanted to let you guys know of a few things that you should keep in mind. So first of all, Google Classroom was created for teachers and schools in order for them to have a very easy to use digital learning platform that they can implement in the classroom. So it is completely free for teachers. However, there's a little kink in this that you need to be aware about. So in order for you as a teacher to add your students into your Google Classrooms, you are going to have your district or school create a Google for Education account and add all of the teachers underneath it. This Google for Education account comes with a G Suite, which now makes a lot of other tools accessible for you, and it makes the Google Classroom platform a lot more user-friendly for your students. So in order for this to happen, you should just go ahead and tell your school or your district about it, have them sign up. They will need to have a domain name or a website URL in order to sign up, and it's completely free to sign up. However, this free sign up is a trial period and it lasts for only 3 weeks, which means they're going to have to continue with the premium effect if you want to continue using Google for Education and the G Suite. So in order for them to do that, they're going to have to pay for it, but it is pretty affordable and it's a great investment in the long run. So I definitely highly recommend you do this, and it's going to be a very smooth sailing from then on because you're going to have access to all of the really good and useful tools that you're going to need to make this work. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's go ahead to our tutorial and see how we can use this classroom to really, boost our distance learning experiences with our students. Alright, so the first thing we're going to start with is to have a blank Google page. We're going to go ahead and type in Google Classroom, and it's going to go straight into your platform, your Google platform. Now, as a new person to Google Classroom, this is not the first page you will see. You're going to see a sign-in page where you're just going to put your name, your email address, and then you're going to sign in, and then it's going to bring you here. Now, you're not going to have any of these because you haven't yet set up any classroom. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to this plus sign right here, and you're going to create a class. So you're going to click create a class. And then here's just a little reminder of what I told you guys about the G Suite for Education that your school administration has to sign up for in order for you to be able to implement your student roster into your classrooms. So just reading that, click that you've read and understood it, and then continue on. And then you're going to be able to go ahead and create a class. Now, the thing that I would recommend when you're creating a classroom is to make sure that you use your name. It's easier to use your name for your classrooms because then your students are going to be able to know that it is you that owns the classroom. So I'm just going to name mine Miss Isamo's 5th grade reading and writing. So they know what that's all about. I'm going to name the section. I'm going to name the subject and the room number. Now this is important, especially if you have more than one specific classroom. So if you're going to have a classroom for more than one set, it's good to name the rooms and sections so that you can differentiate them. And then you're just going to click create a class. All right, so we're just going to click that so I can show you where it goes immediately after that. And there you have it. So now here I have my new reading and writing classroom. All right, so one of the first few things that I'm going to point out about this first page is that it's called Stream, and this is where your students get the updates from you. So this is where they get information updates, so announcements, they get updates about new assignments that are being posted. All of that is going to show up here. So you can, say hi to your students, make them feel at home. And in this post, you can actually add things. You can add something from your Google Drive, you can add a link, you can add a file from your computer, or you can add a YouTube video. It really depends on what you want to say to your students, and then you can post it. Now, you can either schedule the post, save it as a draft as well, or just post it immediately, like I'm doing. And there you have it. Now your students can be able to see the post and read it and know what exactly you're trying to tell them today. So this above section is super important because it is the banner of your classroom. Now it's really fun to kind of set this banner up to fit your personality or your classroom personality. So I like to switch it up and change it as much as I can so that it doesn't look boring and my students can feel very comfortable within the classroom, and it kind of brings a really nice atmosphere into it. If you are teaching grade levels, first grade and second grade or third grade, I would highly suggest that you get creative and you create your own banner and you upload it up here, because you can do that. You can upload your own banner if you want to. So all you have to do is just go to Google, type in the dimensions of a Google Classroom banner and create your own banner, and then you can upload that photo up here, and it's super personalized and your students can feel a lot more comfortable within the class. Another thing to keep in mind about this first page is your class code. This class code is super important. You can enlarge it clicking that button right there. It's super important because your students can join your class through this class code. It's something that you can copy and send to them. You can print it out and give it to them, or you can email it to their parents. Whichever way you want to get it to them, you can give them this code and they can join your classroom using this code. Now let's go to the top bar right here. Let's check this out. So you have your stream, which we just talked about. Then you have your classwork. Let's go right there. This is where all of your assignments and all of that information is going to be posted. This is where you can access the Google Calendar. This is where you can also access your class drive folder. So if you have materials that you want to add to your class drive where your students can also have access to, this is super important to know where it is. So let's go ahead and see how we can create assignments. Now, there are different types of assignments. You can create a normal assignment, you can create quizzes, questions, you can just add reading material if you'd like, or you can reuse a post that you previously had posted for your students. You can reuse it if you feel like it's necessary for another different lesson that you're trying to teach. But my favorite part is the topics. All right. Now, when you use the topics, you can section out and categorize the different assignments that you have going on for your classroom so that everything is organized and your students are not confused, and neither are you. So we're going to add a topic. We're going to say morning prompts. All right, because it's going to be useful for us later on as I show you how to create an assignment. And there you go. This is what it looks like. So every time you make a topic, it's going to look like this, and it's going to section out each and every area so that your students and you yourself know, okay, which assignment goes under what topic. And the 3 dots here just show you, hey, you can rename it, you can delete it, or you can copy the link. So keep that in mind. Now let's go ahead to the people. The people is either you or your students, or both of you. Now this is important. If you team teach, you can add another teacher to your classroom, or if you want to invite a teacher for, just a day in your classroom and you want to collaborate on something really fun, you can just send them an email invite, add them into your classroom, and they're there. And then this is another way that you can add your students. You can add their email addresses and invite them. One key thing to remember about Google Classroom is that your students do need to have a Google email address in order to be able to access Google Classroom. It's super important. So make sure that you or your students' parents set them up with a Google email address so that they can have access to your classroom. So super important to keep in mind. All right, now let's go ahead to the grades. This is where all of your grades are going to show up. Okay, this is super important because you can keep in mind what's going on with your students and how far they've come. So this is where your grades are going to show up when you do have grades. So this is basically it. This is how the setup is. And I'm going to go ahead to my already set up classroom and show you exactly what some things look like. So for example, I have my students here. Now, this is a great example because when your students have joined the classroom successfully, they are going to be highlighted, okay? When they haven't joined the classroom, but you have sent them an invite, they're going to be grayed out, okay? So this means that they haven't yet joined the classroom. You're still waiting on them. So just keep that in mind so that if you see any student with this, you can send a reminder to their parents to make sure that they join the classroom and they are set to go, because if they're not having any access to it, they're not going to get any information that you post. So super important. You can also email your students. If you want to personalize emails to them, you can just go ahead to the 3 dots right here and email your students. Maybe you want to send a quick reminder to them, whatnot. It's going to take you to your own email address and you're going to be able to email them from there. So keep that in mind as well. Now let's go ahead to classwork, right? Let's go ahead and create an assignment. Now, we're going to go create an assignment that I need my students to be able to access every morning, okay? All right, so this is what the assignment page looks like when you're setting it up. Okay, you're gonna have a title, instructions, and all of the information. So if you wanna go ahead and title your assignment, go ahead and do that. And then you can go ahead and add information. Now you have 2 options. You can either add assignments or resources that you already have available, or you can create new ones. Okay, you have the ability to create a new doc, a new slide, a sheet, a drawing, a form, basically whatever it is that you want to use for this assignment, you can create from Google. So that's pretty amazing in my opinion. But today we're gonna go ahead and add from Google Drive. All right, so I have a opinion prompt Google slide that I want my students to be able to access all day this month. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and add that, and it's going to be opinionated prompts. And one thing to know about when you add a file or any kind of assignment is that you need to choose what the assignment or what your students can do with that assignment. So for example, do you want them to just be able to see it? Do you want them to be able to edit that file? Or do you want to make a copy for each student? Now, it's usually always advisable to make a copy for each student, because when you do that, they have access to their own personal copy of the assignment. But if you just do like students can view the file, all they're doing is seeing your master copy, all right? And if you select students can edit the file, they can edit your master copy. So this is really important to keep in mind. If you want to keep your master copy safe and sound, always make sure that you click make a copy for each student. That way the students are prompted to make copies of their own, save it in their Google Drive, and then they can edit it to their own free will if that's the instruction you're giving them. So I want my students to be able to make copies of this. Now, another thing is that you can honestly add as much as you want for each assignment, all right? So because this is a morning prompt, I want them to practice creating opinionated prompts. I want to be able to, have a reminder so that they can remember what opinions are and how to create those kinds of writing. So for me, I would like to add a YouTube video, all right? So when you're adding YouTube videos, you can either type up the search name or you can add a URL. I already have my URL ready to go. There we go. So that's the video I want them to be able to see and view. If they forget what they're supposed to do, I add it and they have access to both those things. So it's really up to you however much you want to add in your assignments, all right? So keep that in mind. Now this part is if you want to add some extra instructions that you want your students to keep in mind as they are working on the assignments. Now this part is important. You can assign points or you can keep it ungraded. Personally, I'm going to keep it ungraded because this is just a practice session. I want them to build the skill. You can also add due dates, all right? But personally, I also don't want to add a due date because this is something that they're practicing daily. So there is no need for that in this particular assignment. And you can add a topic. So right now we don't have a topic, so I'm going to create a topic. My topic is going to be morning prompts because I'm going to add several different variety of prompts that they can use. And that's going to go under that topic. All right, now my assignment is ready to go. So all I'm going to do is decide. Do I want to post it today, right now? Do I want to schedule it, or do I want to save it as a draft? So I'm going to go ahead and assign it right now, but you can also discard it if you don't want it. But definitely make sure that you know what you want to do with the assignment when you're done setting it up. So I'm going to assign it right now. And there we go. So it's ready to go. So I have my topic morning prompts and I have my morning opinion prompts here. And I click it and then it shows exactly what the students are supposed to be able to do. Now for me, I can view this assignment from the teacher viewpoint. I can see whether my students have gotten it and who's turned it in or not. All right. So this is pretty important to keep that in mind. So you can see this, but your students can't see this. All right. And this is what your students can be able to see, all right, and then be able to access. Now you can also add comments if you'd like. Maybe like, adding really fun comments or, just boosters so that your students can feel encouraged as they're working on the assignments. But then, you can add comments to the assignments as they are made, all right? So there you have it. That's exactly how Google Classroom works. Now, one more thing. Once you've posted an assignment, it definitely shows up in the stream area like I mentioned before, so your students can see it once it's posted. All right, so this is the first page that your students always see when they come into your classroom. So it's pretty understandable that it will show up here. All right. Another thing I want to make sure I show you guys is the 3 lines bar. And this is basically where you can find your calendar, your classes over here, your to-do list, all right? And it's going to show your classes, the assignments, whether students have turned them in or not. You can mark them as reviewed or not. So this is just, for you to keep in mind as well. And you can also access your settings. This is super important. You need to set up your settings before you make any of your classes. You need to make sure that you know what you want your comment section to look like. If you want to turn certain things off or on, you need to know what you want your classes or how you want your classes to go. So do you want to have late submissions available, resubmissions? Do you want to be able to invite different teachers into this? And so make sure you set up your basic settings for all of your classrooms right here before you start making any classrooms, so that you don't have to come back and try to reorganize everything all over again. So that's just an important note to keep in mind. So yeah, this is how to set up a Google Classroom. I do want to note that these Google Slides and digital learning resources that I'm using are from a set of amazing teachers that have come up with a week's worth of a variety of digital learning resources that you can access and use. And it's this week. Yeah, it's this week. And this promo has free items. It has items that are $2. It has a drawing of a $500 gift card to TPT. So I definitely want to promote it to you guys because I think it's an amazing opportunity and you should definitely jump right on this bandwagon. But they create such amazing tools that you can use, all right? And they're super easy to set up. Super easy to maybe edit if you want. I mean, you can definitely ask them if you can edit it if you desire, but they are amazing tools and you should definitely get on that bandwagon and start implementing them into your Google Classroom. Now, for an added bonus of this video, I do want to show you what a student's viewpoint looks like. So let's go ahead and check that out. All right, so this is what it looks like from your student's point of view. I am using a laptop to show this demonstration. However, some of your students will be using a phone or an iPad, but it's pretty much the same viewpoint. So I'm going to go ahead and type in Google Classroom, right? And it's going to take me to the front page. I will let you know that Google Classroom does have an app, which might be easier for your students to access with their phones or iPads. However, I will warn that the app is a lot slower than accessing Google Classroom from the website itself. So just keep that in mind so you know exactly where you want your students to be accessing this from. So I'm going to click the link. Now, just to let you know, this is a student that already has access to one of my classrooms, or two of them. Yeah, two of them. And so they're already in my system. I'm going to show you how they can join another classroom that they haven't been invited to yet. So I gave them the code for this classroom. So they're going to click the plus sign and then they're going to click join class. Now they're going to type in the code for this classroom. Make sure that you remind your students to follow the code exactly how it is. Some codes have uppercase letters mixed with lowercase letters and numbers and all of that. So just make sure they know that they need to follow it exactly how it is. They're going to click join. And there you go. So they have been added to another classroom of mine where they have access to all of the information on there. So that's just how your students are going to be able to join your classroom with the code that you give them. So as you can see, it's pretty different. They have access to only the stream, the classwork, and the people involved in the classroom. Now, just a little side note, they do have a sidebar. They have access to the calendar, and now that they have access to a new class, they can see the assignment due date for that new class. They do have a settings bar, but they cannot change the settings that you have put for the entire class. This is just their own personalized settings. And then they have the classes, and then they do have their own to-do list. It's pretty different from yours. Theirs is where they can see the upcoming assignments they have to complete, and they can also view completed assignments from the different classrooms that they have access to. So this can also keep them on track with what they need to be able to accomplish. All right, so we're going to go back to the classroom so they can access this new assignment that we just posted. So the best way to do this is for them to go to classwork, and then they can see all the topics listed here. We have only one topic just for now, and then they have access to the calendar and the class drive from here as well. So they're just going to click that assignment and they can see all that it entails. They can click the video link and they can watch it if they decide to do that, or they can just go straight ahead to the assignment. Now this is what it looks like from the student's point of view. This is their own copy of the assignment, because you remember when I set up this assignment, I set it up to have the students have their own copies made for this assignment. So this is it. So yeah, this is what it looks like for your students to access this amazing platform. So I really hope that you enjoy using Google Classroom. So there you have it. Google Classroom is one of the easiest virtual classrooms to set up, and it is the most flexible to use. Plus, it is usually almost always free. I love Google Classroom because you don't really have to change and adjust too much of your lesson plan structure or your resources to be able to use it with your students and gain that virtual teaching and learning experience. Unlike some other platforms where you would have to learn like completely new resources that you and your students may not be very well adjusted to. I truly hope that this video has helped you to scale the hoops of setting up a Google Classroom platform for the first time. So definitely give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell, because I will be bringing out some more tutorial videos on some amazing EdTech platforms and apps that I truly believe will positively impact your distance teaching and learning experience. Also, check out these two videos on the side so that you can learn more about how to scale up your teaching career. As always, have fun teaching, and I will see you guys next time.